Hello, and welcome to the first of a three-part webinar series focused on innovating the candidate experience. My name is Mihir Gandhi, and I'm the head of marketplace operations at Eightfold.ai. As a hiring manager for nearly 2 decades, sourcing, hiring, and retaining talent have been central themes in my career. Managing at a hyper-growth company like Lyft, where I was the first general manager for their flagship region in Northern California, I've acutely felt the pain of hiring rapidly and hiring right. I'm thrilled at how Eightfold is addressing these challenges and so much more. Specifically today, we are diving deep into strategies for recruiting and talent acquisition and how AI is changing the recruiting process. We are joined by our esteemed guest, Ashish Mediratta from Tata Communications, and have a robust content to cover with regards to how Ashish and Tata Communications approach AI and talent acquisition. But first, a little bit about Eightfold. At Eightfold, we have created a talent intelligence platform for enterprises that leverages artificial intelligence to hire, engage, and nurture talent. Talent-centric applications built on this constantly learning platform enables enterprises to manage their entire lifecycle from prospect to candidate to alumni. With over 100 customers, including Tata Communications, AdRoll, Hulu, Grand Rounds, Nutanix, and more, Eightfold has helped companies vastly improve their talent acquisition, talent diversity, and talent management capabilities. Historical legacy products like ATSs were developed to replace tracking paper resumes, and as such provide very similar workflows. The now ubiquitous, onerous online application processes that companies require from applicants is unduly hard on both applicants and companies, replacing paper problems with digital ones. Eightfold was born in the AI era, specifically to address and solve challenges with employment in today's society. More information than ever is being communicated about jobs, companies, and candidates. These reside on job boards, career pages, social profiles, professional profiles like GitHub and Dribbble, and many, many more. And companies have more information than ever in their ATS in their systems. They have ATSs, HRISs, CRMs, etc. And of course, hiring managers have specific visions as to the skills and experiences that they are building on their team. The more data isn't necessarily better. It just means there are more places to find disparate information and try to cobble together a more holistic view of a candidate. Is it humanly possible to take in all these data and identify a candidate's fit, or their potential to excel in a given role, or their career trajectory, let alone doing this for thousands of candidates across hundreds of jobs? This is where Eightfold's talent intelligence platform comes in. Eightfold was designed to improve the lives of candidates, recruiting, HR, hiring managers, employees, and alumni. Eightfold aggregates and digests these data, marrying internal data like your ATS, the plethora of sourcing and recruiting tools you could be using, with externally available information to create an enriched talent repository. The Eightfold TIP platform uses these data to help surface what candidates are good at today and what they'll be ready for their next steps in their career. This drives better talent strategy and execution. Once the Eightfold platform has ingested robust data from legacy and public profiles for each person and created a rich profile of each candidate, Eightfold calibrates each open role according to the specific needs of the organization, drives improvements for recruiters and hiring managers' intake experience, provides an instant pipeline of qualified candidates, improves the overall candidate experience, improves your employee referral experience, and of course drives retention through improved internal mobility. After our discussion and before our Q&A, Jason Gray, Eightfold's Director of Sales Engineering, will give us a brief demo to bring these words to light. A quick example of one of our customers. Hulu was using a host of tools to assist recruiting, such as JobBite, LinkedIn Recruiter, agencies, job boards, and sourcing tools. They were also receiving more applications their team could keep up with. Given their hot growth, the volume of applicants, and the number of tools they were using, the Hulu team found that highly qualified candidates were slipping through the cracks. Hulu then implemented Eightfold, which aggregated data across all these tools and sources. Hulu was then able to have a single view on their entire talent network. On average, recruiters saved 4 hours per day and quickly stopped using InMail because their talent pipelines were full of highly qualified candidates. The next example actually comes from Tata Communications, and we're going to go ahead and skip it since we have the source of truth from Tata Communications with us here today. As I mentioned earlier, Jason will be giving us a demo of the Eightfold platform before the Q&A. So now let's get into our conversation. I'm very excited to welcome our featured presenter, Ashish Mediratta. Ashish joins us from Tata Communications, where he is head of global talent acquisition and the associate vice president of human resources. With nearly 2 decades of experience in the talent space, Ashish has held leadership roles in esteemed companies such as Wipro, Genpact, Nokia, and Huawei. In today's conversation, we're looking forward to hearing how Tata Communications is innovating the candidate experience and how Ashish is using AI to turbocharge internal mobility and recruiting capabilities. Ashish, welcome to the webinar.
Hey, thank you so much, Mihir, and I'm truly excited to be here.
Great. Well, I understand you have some slides prepared and you'd like to walk us through.
Oh, yes, for sure. So before I start off, a quick 1 minute about myself and my organization. I've been over with this organization for almost 2 years now. And wow, what a phenomenal journey it has been in terms of AI. Tata Communications is a $3 billion organization, part of the Tata Group, which is having more than 100 organizations. And TCS probably is one of the better known brands of the Tata Group. When I look at the page that's in front of us as of now, what have we really thought of? What have we visualized from the talent acquisition function? We gave ourselves this acronym for ROADS, which is standing for real time, on demand, totally online, do it yourself, and social media enabled. This has been our, I would say, a real essence or the thought behind our entire talent acquisition strategy. We have been using a design thinking approach where we have rethought our processes from a perspective of the hiring managers as well as the candidates. And the last in our thought has been the recruiter. What we look at is, can we have an auto everything in our process that makes the role of a recruiter change in the future to a large extent. And I visualize our recruiters as becoming talent acquisition business partners. The guys who understand the business so well that they are actually marketing the organization in these areas. So with that perspective, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you,
cool.
Ashish.
Okay, great. One of the things that, the first point that struck people when we talked about AI in recruitment was, what will the recruiters do? In fact, recruiters in my own team asked me this question point blank when they saw the presentation, which is going to follow in the next few seconds. And my only answer to them was, that folks, that what we are going to create now is probably going to be one of the earliest things done in the industry. And if you are the ones who are the early adopters of this technology, rest assured, your CVs are going to be so powerful. You're going to be hot properties in the market. And trust me, 2 years down the line, what have I to show? Maybe 1 or 2 attritions in a team of 30. And again, nothing much to regret on that. In terms of the top talent being lost, no, none of that sort. So I'm pretty happy with what we have as of now. I think let's move to the next one, please, now. Mihir. This page, as you see here, I think this is the heart of the engine that we are driving. On the left-hand side, when you see it says a new job requisition raised, how can we imagine an auto sourcing engine where when we have a profile pool which is having internal job market applications, it's got our own database and employee referrals, all candidates that we are getting through job boards, agencies, and the social media. How do we enable an engine that is smart enough to to reach out to respective channels. And in the coming slides, we will show you a few samples of areas where we've actually cracked the code on this one. And in fact, that makes me truly, truly excited that yes, we have been able to make a paradigm shift in some of these areas. The next point being auto screening of profiles. Again, thinking about how do we get AI to look at the social fitment and the cultural fitment of a candidate to the organization. We'll talk about that as well. The next piece being auto assessment. Can we have an engine which is smart enough to read the job description and then decide what kind of assessments from the pool of assessments that we have in our organization that it can administer those assessments automatically to candidates. So with that perspective, we are talking to our own internal IT team to get that platform where all these assessments can be picked up by AI and administered to candidates. The next one that you see here is a pre-screening video interview, and there are many and more solutions out there, which are offering pre-screening videos. That's, I think, simple and straightforward. All along that you would notice, we have mentioned notifications to candidates. We want the system to keep engaging with candidates all throughout. So imagine if you have a database having 100,000 resumes, which are possibly even 6 months, 1 year, or 2 years old. Can we have a smart database which triggers a notification to candidates that, ma'am or sir, it's been almost a year since we have interacted, and I'm sure you would have gathered some new learnings or some new certifications, etc. And we would be happy to have you upload or share with us your latest profile. Now imagine the impact that it causes and the amount of ease it provides to candidates and to us. The next piece that we see here is an auto scheduler. Again, that's pretty much par for the course these days. And I think we can move to the next page, please. I mentioned to you a little while back about auto sourcing. The first, the bar you see over here refers to IJP, which is internal job postings, as we call it, for our internal market. Now here, I think this is where we have done the most significant change for our organization. Actually, I can say we have turned the paradigm upside down. Up to now, what happens in most organizations that at least I've come across in my career is that employees have visibility to jobs in the organization. However, you ask the employee that, a job came by and went and you did not apply for it, though you were interested in this. What happened? And the employee is going to say to you that, okay, I was on a vacation or I was not well, and for a few days I just didn't get chance at all. I was so busy, I had no chance to look at the internal job market. And I happened to lose on so many of those roles, right? And it's always the focus has been on employees to go on a hunt on their own. That's where I think using this AI from Eightfold, I think we have made a complete paradigm shift. The algorithm now, what it is doing is it has got profiles of all employees. The moment a new job requisition is raised, the algorithm matches our employees database and those of them who are eligible to apply. So we have norms around having been in a role for 18 months, etc., etc. Some very, very basic eligibility criteria. The algorithm does the match, checks out the criteria, and basically those employees who are the best fit, they get notified by the algorithm. Of course, the employees need to log in for the first time and set the auto alert button. But having done that, they can be rest assured that the algorithm is going to be hunting roles for them in the organization. it can always be argued that is this not something like internal coaching? But that's the way we have positioned it in our organization, that we are trying to replicate the external job market situation. So there are agencies outside who would not take our permission to reach out to our people and offer them options, career options. And that's where we want to turn the paradigm, that hiring managers now know that their people, if they are not happy in doing what they are doing, then the organization is having a platform to allow people to navigate internally within the organization. And the same benefit applies to them also. So if they are getting tangled in their role, or it's been too long and they're getting frustrated, the same benefits and features of this tool will apply to them. So with this approach, I think we have just changed the paradigm completely. Take the next example. It's called TC. I'm sorry for the language here. It's called Talent Cloud. That's our internal language. I should have probably changed this one before sending the deck over. So in employee referral, my experience again in organizations has been that employees reach out to HR folks. They reach out to hiring managers, requesting them that, please see if you can do something for my friend. He's a great person and fantastic experience and all the good stuff. However, what happens in real life is, with us at least, that the algorithm is now suggesting the best jobs to, employees for their, for the CVs of their friends and relatives. So they no longer need to chase after anybody in HR or with the hiring managers requesting around. No need. You just upload the resume of your friend and that's it. The algorithm will suggest to you and to your friend what should be done. Coming to the next page that's on display now, it talks about auto screening and social profiling. Here, if you again look to the right, we're talking about a masking feature. Now, as an organization, we as Tata Communications pride ourselves on diversity. And the challenge for us, or the target for us this year, is to hire 35% diversity globally. Over here, how do you ensure, and this is a perception that's carried by our CEO, how do you ensure that there is no bias at the very initial stage of the screening process? When the recruiter has submitted resumes to hiring managers, how do you ensure that they're not getting biased, right? So with this feature that we have from Eightfold, the algorithm is actually masking the profile, the CV really, and the photograph, name, mail ID, LinkedIn ID, everything gets hidden. Even the pronouns are hidden. So the hiring managers are now being asked to do their shortlisting based on the merits of the profile that they see, skills and experiences, rather than looking at the name or the photograph and then trying to figure out what they want to do next. So I think, again, a huge thanks to the Eightfold team for doing what they have done. Now, here's a sample of, a normal profile that a recruiter would see. Go to the next page, please. Here? Yeah. And this is the masked profile where the, photograph and all the good stuff is hidden. Now the hiring manager needs to take a decision. And I think this is being appreciated by, our top management as being a real, I would say, a radical change from the past. The next one, please. All right. I think this stage, I think, is the one where we talked about the benefits to our employees and to the managers regarding the usage of the new internal job market platform, where, the benefit to managers is that, seriously, they don't have to do much. The algorithm is matching the best of internal employees and those who are eligible, notifying them, and these profiles are now also visible to hiring managers. right, when these employees have applied for the job, and they get to see an auto-match rating as to what is the algorithm suggesting. Yeah?
Ashish,
when you see the right... Sorry?
Oh, no, please go ahead.
All right. To the right side of this page, as you see, the benefits that we have accrued so far, in terms of diversity, we have seen a big jump by 5% already, and we are going for more. When you see the, our offer SLA, that's how many offers are being made in the stipulated number of days. So while our target was, 80%, we went on to 84, 85, and now 87%. And this was probably one of the highest points that we have reached, right? And so I think in terms of the advantages that we are seeing for niche skills, especially on high technology area, I think that's where we have seemed to crack the code with the help of Eightfold. And the kind of, you can say, calibration that we have achieved with the algorithm vis-a-vis the profiles that we see, that is a huge benefit to our recruiters. Mihir, over to you.
Ashish, thank you so much. I specifically love the way that you framed the internal mobility of your own employees as Tata as a whole having an internal marketplace. I think that resonates with, especially in the HR and recruiting front, where talent is so difficult to come by, and we have such a deep focus on recruiting, but retention is really as if not more important to ensuring that you have the right talent in place. And so thank you so much for walking us through that. What I'd love to do over the next few minutes is maybe just a few questions for you, Ashish, to help us understand a little bit more about how your operations work at Tata. You guys have a massive organization, obviously a great brand name, and an incredible product. Why were you motivated to improve talent acquisition and talent management at this time?
Great. We look at talent acquisition and talent management as two of the most people-intensive areas in our quest to improve the stakeholder experience while dealing with HR processes in the organization. We feel that the greatest impact we can give to our employees is through technology interventions. We live in an Uberized world, and I can't frankly recall the last time when I had tried to hail a cab on the roadside. So the cabs and the cabbies, they end up locating you, and very, very quickly. We are literally taking our HR services to employees rather than them having to go looking. I think that's been the essence of what we've been trying to do here.
So as you do that, how do you think about refining your current processes versus moving to an AI-powered solution? So help us understand the decision to move to AI versus maybe existing or legacy solutions.
See, our legacy systems, as most organizations would have, in the form of ATSs. So we already have success factors that we use here, and I'm sure other organizations have Taleo and a host of other products. What we believe over here is that our technology is not replacing humans. It's really improving the quality of work that's been put in by recruiters, and HR personnel, and we are basically automating the time-intensive or redundant tasks, right? We are taking this ideology further. So AI is not only automating our processes in our legacy solutions, it's also going to impact the decision-making of our stakeholders. So I can give you data and facts. So earlier, about a year and a half back, we as an organization were recording one offer on a base of 12 resumes, which is now down to 1:6. So that's significant in terms of the time and the effort that people are saving. It's for recruiters, most importantly, the hiring managers. We are able to get people faster, better, and that's what really counts.
It's great to hear you talk about AI as an assist for human capital and human power. With a number of AI solutions out on the market today, why did Tata ultimately choose Eightfold?
Oh, that's an easy one for me to answer. You have a great product which is loaded with functionalities. On top of it, you have a strong leadership at the top level, which is driven towards innovation. And I can voice from personal experience, highly customer-centric people. You have a very, an able engineering and product team who are very understanding and responsive to customer requirements. And I really hope that, other customers that are working with you, they have a similar experience. There will, always be challenges, and there will be largely to do with making customizations on our existing legacy system. And I'm sure that's one apprehension that, everybody would have. So that's where I think, the Eightfold team had swung the needle. We had another organization with which we had tried their AI-based solutions. And honestly, I would not like to name over here on the platform here. But, we found that the integration with SuccessFactors was a big pain. It was not working at all. And this is the first thing that we had a chat with the top leadership of Eightfold somewhere around March 2017. And within a month, we were actually very, very surprised to note that they had integrations done and complete with SuccessFactors, while we were testing and calibrating on the product in parallel. So these things, gave us a lot of confidence that we are dealing with the right people, who are very like-minded in terms of creating something new for the future and extremely responsive. So I think those have been the clinchers for us.
Great. Thanks so much, Ashish. I'd love to jump into another question. And before I do that, I'd love to also ask the audience, some of you have already typed in some questions from the audience. We'll be doing Q&A a little bit later in the webinar. So just a reminder to type in your questions, and we'll get to them as we can with Ashish at the end of the presentation. I want to move to and touch on something you talked about a little bit earlier, Ashish. You mentioned that the HR team feels that AI is a solution and an ally. I think we've also heard from others that perhaps this can be a threat and potentially eradicate some of the roles within the HR sourcing recruiting functions. Can you talk a little bit about how your HR team feels about AI as a solution, as an ally versus a threat?
For sure. I think that's an easy one again. See, for us, there has been unanimous acceptance of the AI-driven solutions in both the HR team as well as the talent acquisition team in particular. What we have seen is that the quality of work, the quality of outcomes, and stakeholder experiences are getting better with these solutions. And I suspect that in maybe 5 years' time, literally every organization will have solutions of this nature. And I think that's what I've been also emphasizing in our team here, that being ahead of the curve from the industry while creating solutions and services for tomorrow is just going to enhance your own credentials. And you'll be the early adopters, have a strong resume, and maybe you're the ones that are going to help other organizations evolve. So I think that's been an easy one for us to motivate our people.
Thanks, Ashish. I love the way that you frame that. And I want to go back to one other thing that you touched on earlier in your presentation, where you talked about internal mobility and viewing Tata's human capital and talent capital really as an internal marketplace. I also love how you framed that outside recruiters won't hesitate to contact your own employees. So why shouldn't your own team be able to do the same thing? So can you give us a little bit of a sense of what the Tata employees say about the internal mobility capabilities and opportunities and the impact of internal referrals on the organization in the past year?
Oh, sure. Before I go there, I'll give you some data points. Almost 28% of our entire hiring happens through internal mobility. And this is one data point that gets reported to the board on a quarterly basis. So that's the, I'd say, importance and seriousness given to internal mobility and internal careers for our employees. Given that as a background, it's been very easy for us to implement the mobility solutions. Where, it's easier now for employees than ever before to view relevant opportunities for themselves. It's easy for them to keep track of the status of their applications. Now, this was a huge pain point earlier. There are so many employees, taking part in the in the internal mobility process. How do you just keep them informed of what's happening, or at what stage is their CV in the hiring process? That's getting done by the system now. They get to know more about the opportunities and the people they would get to work with, along with the job description when they get to see that. And I think most importantly, to be proactively informed about any new development regarding upcoming opportunities that suit their aspirations. So with this, I think AI is working with employees in enabling their career growth. And we are getting some very good feedback from employees for this specific solution. And likewise for referrals, you need not really follow up with anyone to seek support for the CVs of your friends or relatives, and you can be assured that the algorithms will search for relevant profiles and and match them with the jobs that are being created and keep you and your referred candidates notified. I think that's the beauty of this solution.
Ashish, thanks so much for this. I feel like we could go on for a long time. I know we're just scratching the surface, and there's actually a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that go into not just implementing the solution, but the process and operational changes that you and your team have put in place to enable this kind of a transformation. And I'm sure that we will have many more opportunities on future webinars and panels, and certainly during our Q&A later during this webinar. Right now, I'd love to turn it over to Jason Gray, the Director of Sales and Engineering at Eightfold, to give us a demo of the Eightfold platform, a bit more tangible examples of how Tata and others have been using the Eightfold platform. And again, I'd love to remind the audience to continue to pipe in some questions. We've got some great ones loaded up for Ashish right after the demo, and looking forward to jumping back into that dialogue, Ashish. So in just one sec, we'll get back there, but first, Jason.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and thank you, Ashish. So I'm going to drop in right into our screen here, and you'll see my browser where I'm going to upload my resume. So three things I want you to take away from this is, one, how this deep matching and natural language understanding improves the candidate experience, the recruiter's experience, as well as the internal employees and referrals. And then finally, how this deep matching and so forth drives these efficiencies and whatnot. So as a user, as a candidate, I can come onto a website, rather searching across thousands of different opening positions. I can simply upload my resume. In this case, I'm going to upload a software engineer resume, and automatically the deep matching looks at my resume and the job descriptions and the calibration from Eightfold and predicts what's best for me. So this prediction is really key through our semantic understanding. And so now I can see that, software engineer, that's what I do. I love that. Solutions engineer, that's more forward deployed. Because I've been customer facing in the past, it probably recognized that. Senior data engineer, actually I've got a little bit of data science on my back. It's on my path, that's a priority hire. And then finally, product manager. I did do a little product management and liaison stuff in the past. So these predictions are really interesting for me. And as a user, I don't even know this. I just know that these are great matches. So I'm going to apply to these two positions. And automatically, I'm going to get a thank you. I'm going to get also other data, like what great blog posts relate to my position and what team members I might know at the company. So it really streamlines the experience for the candidate. And the recruiter, now on the flip side, as we go to the recruiting view, I can see all the positions that I'm owning, as well as a nice feed of updates around those positions that I'm actually working, such as software engineer. And I can see that I've got recent applicants, leads that have saved to pipeline, one that shows AI of the top 30% senior software. We'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And then 2, likely to respond, and 26 new leads. Because there's certain individuals who've been in a position a real long time, or maybe they've moved fairly quickly in terms of their trajectory, Eightfold exposes that so that I know that those would be good people to go after. And as I drill into this now, I'm actually going to see all in one view. I no longer have to go and spend hours upon hours on job boards, you know the names, and try to find applicants until my eyes bleed. I can see them right here in a 5-star matching mechanism through Eightfold that shows me their overall relevance, their skills, their title, ideal candidates that we've targeted or calibrated to this role that may be an employee or maybe someone outside the company that we'd love to have. So let's find people similar. School, work, experience, all very important. As I look through this too, I might also have a scenario where I got a very skewed team to men. I'd like to really target women so I can filter on that and look at the diversity there. There's also unconscious bias smoothing. And what I mean by that is perhaps I'm a recruiter that is always going after engineers. Well, I always go after ones that perhaps graduated from Stanford, Berkeley, or MIT. Now, I may not have noticed that, top Canadian school like McGill in Montreal, or top Asian school in China or India, those are now identified as very similar and ones I should go after. Taking off the diversity element, I can now also drill into these individuals like Ankur and see what is it that makes him such a great fit. Well, he's got 8 years of relevant experience. That's not just total experience, but relevant experience. He's also top 30% in senior software engineers. Well, what does that mean? Well, this candidate took almost 4.5 years to reach this level compared to the peers that took 6. So he's an overachiever. That's great. But sometimes these resumes are padded. So let's go out to the public data like GitHub and Stack Overflow and see, are they contributing to these projects, open source, et cetera? What kind of answers and things are they doing on Stack Overflow? Wow, there's a lot of great elements that they're truly an active participant. This drives a tremendous amount of engagement for me to go after this candidate. I can see all the recruiting activity, personal information if we want to show it, and we start to see all the matching mechanisms in these blue boxes where Eightfold semantically pulled out the right matches from this person's resume against the job calibration. Also, too, I may be interested in actually sending this to the hiring manager, or perhaps even the recruiter should have a mask profile. So I don't see their actual name and ethnicity. I don't see their personal info. I don't see the schools they went to. It's strictly based on merit, and that's really key. This is a quick demo, so we're going to keep moving on here. And we also look at campaigns, nurturing people. So how can we do deep matching and leverage all those existing applicants we have in our applicant tracking system, 140,000. So now I can go and actually grab a blog post from our website or somewhere else and say, you know what, I want to target these applicants that are passive. And matter of fact, that reduces 140,000 to 10,000. I may also say this is a diversity element, back to the fact that we got a skewed male team. So let's go after female. That's 1,800 applicants. And I can continue to add additional elements to refine the audience, including ATS information from that ATS integration to any ATS that you may or may not have. Ultimately, what this means is that we're targeting people with this great matching of parsing the blog to who they are, and we get these wonderful open rates, 50 to 70%. I was in marketing automation many years past. 3 to 5% open rates were amazing. Well, 50% open rates for a recruiter is astounding, and now we see that engagement by the cities, by locations. We can see the recipients and how many opens they have. So I can go ahead and checkbox and say, you know what, I want to go ahead and share these people with my hiring manager right away and get that started. And finally, to close out, when we look at internal mobility, I can come in and see what jobs are right for me, automatically matching to those specific elements. And in this case, if I am a I'm in HR and I have admin privileges, I also can see who is a high attrition risk, because we want to go after those people and make sure that they find the right career pathing. And so they can go to the career planner, find projects and or openings and or mentors that best represent what the matching sees in it for them. So a whole variety of matching elements. And so to remember here is driving a great candidate experience, a great recruiting experience, and allowing for this internal mobility in a self-service model that makes it disarming for anyone to get involved with. So with that, I'll close out, and hopefully this has piqued up enough interest. Reach out through the website to the sales department. We'd love to do a deeper dive demo with anybody, and I'll kick it back over to Mihir to finish this off.
Thanks so much, Jason. Really appreciate that, that overview. And just as a quick plug on the website, it is Eightfold.ai. Please feel free to go there to learn a little bit more information about the Eightfold product. Ashish, would love to jump back into a couple of questions that the audience has asked of us. And do you have a few minutes left before you have to head back to your duties?
Oh yeah. Please go ahead.
Fantastic. Where we dropped off just a second ago before the demo was around the operational challenges that your team has faced. Can you describe how you actually address those operational challenges and how you prepare your team for changes like implementing new tools to drive adoption to actually move the organization forward?
Oh, great. Yeah, so, like I mentioned earlier, challenge number one for us was the integration with the existing ATS that we were using. The next thing for us was to do customizations. So there is an existing tool, and we want to bring in new changes and functionalities. So in some instances, what we are doing is, for example, for the masking tool, we have practically migrated our hiring managers onto the Eightfold platform to basically look at the profiles, give their feedback, and then do the process practically on Eightfold. For other parts, for example, the internal mobility piece, we are using the auto match functionality very well, and the triggers and the tracking. So we have literally done a huge amount of customization, and I think that's been the clincher for us vis-a-vis Eightfold, the flexibility that's shown by the product team and the engineering team to make changes and do them very, very fast. Right, and in terms of our recruiters, the experience they are able to provide, I think we have also tried to drive their behavior with the help of incentives. So almost 15 to 20% of their benefits and compensation is in the form of variable, and we have made adoption of technology and deliverables. For example, I mentioned to you about conversion ratio. So for us, that jumped from 1:12, one offer from 12 resumes down to one offer from 6 resumes, has been a big change agent for our recruiters. And we give them weightages for their performance. Similarly for diversity. And we run some programs like the Star of the Month and the Champion for the Quarter for diversity. So we are basically trying to model their behavior and make superstars out of those who are, doing the best of things in the interest of the hiring managers, of the employees, and of the company. We are rewarding the right behavior, and we are seeing good results.
Ashish, I think that's it's a novel approach, and it dovetails very nicely with the way that you talked about the future vision that seems to be being realized as we're talking, of the recruiters and HRBPs as true business partners that are helping move the organization forward and really be ambassadors for the organization, both internally and externally. Part of the process of doing that is building massive trust with the hiring managers. Can you talk a little bit about how AI tools have helped and some of the processes and operations and innovations you've talked about have helped drive some of that recognition and trust from the hiring managers with the recruiting team?
Oh, yeah, sure. Very early in our hiring process, we hold a discovery call between the hiring managers and the recruiters. So what we did was almost a year ago, we started having our recruiters to make a demo of the Eightfold product to the hiring managers. What happened actually on the ground was they realized that their job descriptions were usually gibberish. Yeah. And when they started playing with the job description on the Eightfold platform is when they realized the power of every single word that they write. So usually in almost a 2-page job description, maybe 3 lines are absolutely critical to the hiring manager. And that's where in that experience of discovery calls, they realized that those 3 lines need to be so beautifully and clearly crafted by them. And we could show them the change in the profile being sourced live before and after. And I think that's where the conviction spread in the organization that we've got the right product. And the quality of CVs that they were receiving, the calibration, on these profiles, those were the big differentiators for us and driving the behavior of hiring managers towards Eightfold.
Ashish, I love how you called job descriptions largely gibberish. When I suffer from bouts of insomnia, I generally open any careers page and start reading through job descriptions, and I find that seems to solve my insomnia much faster than any other type of natural or herbal remedy. So I think we share a similar aversion for that. So Ashish, I think with that, we're running just short on time. I want to thank you so much for your time and your insights, your valuable guidance on how to really change the process and operations within the organization and use tools such as Eightfold and others that you're employing to drive that forward. I personally found this really enlightening. I've learned a lot from you. I'm looking forward to not only working with you as a partner, but also learning from you and helping drive the Eightfold product suite forward to help more customers with their recruiting and retention capabilities.
Great. It's been a pleasure and honor for me to be on this platform. And thank you so much for this opportunity. If there is any way I can be of help in the future to any of our colleagues who are listening in, you can reach out to me over LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help and learn from you. So I look forward. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much, everyone. And this concludes this webinar. Please tune in tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific for the second of the third of 3 installments on this webinar series. Thanks so much.